So let me show you how I took a normal piece of wood like this, cut it up into various pieces like this, and made some very handy items like this. So based on the intro, you could see I basically started with one piece of wood like this. This is basically a piece, if it could be a piece of picket fence, it could be any piece of wood that you want. So all I then did is I ripped it into pieces. First off, I started in taking this piece of wood and cutting it into three pieces like so, which is quite fun. Equal length, this is about 30 centimeters or about a foot more or less. And then I ripped these in the length in about 1 centimeter, or how much is that? That's about a third of an inch about. In length, in width. I cut them like so. And I've also cut those in half as well, like to be 15 centimeters long in the end, like so. So I left some of them long like this. The others I cut up into smaller pieces. So in the end, let me just separate these. I'm left with four long pieces. In my case, you could, depending on what you want to do, you can do various quantities of these and a lot of those shorter ones. Obviously, these are all loose from each other and they're all ripped to smaller pieces or to smaller lengths. So what I did do on this piece of wood is you'll see that on the one side of the piece of wood or whatever, you see it's got a very coarse finish like that. On the other side, it's much smoother, and obviously on the cut sides, it's the smoothest of them all. They do different colors as well. So what I figured is, beforehand, I could have sanded this all off and make the wood look all the same color and the same finish. Would be perfect, and it would look very great. But I figured I might want to keep the coarse look on the one side to give it a bit more of a rustic, natural feel in the end product. So what am I going to do with these items? Well, the main thing that I've had in mind is, with Christmas coming up and so on, this could be a very good opportunity to make some gifts with your, you can call it scrap wood or your leftover pieces of wood that you've got. So what I'm thinking in the beginning is you could maybe take some of these pieces like so, with the coarse side to the outsides, stack them up like so, however many you need. And like you can see, this is forming a type of a bowl. Now, the nice thing about this bowl is you can use it for pretty much anything. Obviously, it's still open at the bottom, but we're going to sort that in a moment. Let's pretend that I'm building this thing upside down at the moment. So that would be more or less the size of the bowl that we've got here, is that depth. And then obviously at the bottom, you can put a few more of these things, of these pieces of wood, like so. And you would have a bowl, an upside down bowl in this case, but still a nice bowl. So if you were to turn this around, it would be very nice. You can maybe even line it with maybe a piece of cloth or whatever you've got, if you've got a design or a theme going. Or you can use it as a small little fruit bowl. You can obviously do this with the longer pieces as well, and you'll have a bowl quite bigger than this. And you can do some different shapes as well and aesthetics as well. So you can be creative. Like, for instance, if you're going to put these like this, you can, for instance, maybe have the corners overlap each other a slight bit like so, to give it a bit of a different feel or a different effect. If you're getting the effect that I'm going for, like so. I'm not going to build the whole bowl, just roughly, so you can get the idea of what I'm going at. So that is basically one idea. So while I was building one of these, I was figuring, wouldn't it be quite nice to maybe build something a slight bit different? It's still a little bowl. You can still put lining in it, or without the lining, it doesn't matter. But while I was looking at the longer pieces, I was thinking, what would happen if I take that little bowl and I would modify it a slight bit? So I got the idea to perhaps build a little wheelbarrow. So how am I going to go about doing that? So once again, I'm going to start building this thing upside down, starting with like so. Let's quickly put together the base of the bowl like so, or the wheelbarrow in this case. So that would be the top part. Since I'm building it upside down, we're only going to keep it like that. And then I'm going to use two of the longer ones like so, put them on top. And like you might have worked out, this will probably be the handles of the wheelbarrow, which is all good. Put some more of these on there. And the procedure from here on is fairly simple. It's very continuous. I'm not going to make it too deep. Let's only take it up to there, like so. So now I was thinking at the front side, I'm going to take two more of these long ones. I'm going to put them in the front like so. And obviously I'm going to cut them off here at the back so they don't overlap or stick out of the back too far. Now, the front part, since this is an upside down wheelbarrow, the front part is where the wheel should be of a wheelbarrow. So what am I going to use for the wheel? I've got a normal piece of wood here that's cut out with a circular saw. And it is basically just something else that I built. This is scrap wood pieces laying around, and this would be ideal for the size for the wheel. So how am I going to attach that? Obviously, I'm going to cut these ones off at the back. We'll put two more pieces in here on the side and one in the middle. Obviously, this is not done very neatly now. This is only stacked roughly to get the idea. That would be cut off, and that would be the bottom then. And some of these pieces that I would be cutting off here, I'll put them at the back here for 2 feet. And that's only to level out, since the wheel is going to be lifted a slight bit. Halfway, that's about the thickness of two of these. So I'm going to put two pieces here on top of each other, two pieces that side on top of each other, just for little feet at the back. And then for the wheel in the front, I'm simply going to take a piece of dowel rod. This is an 8mm dowel stick. I'm going to put it through the wheel, drill 2 holes either side in that piece of wood, and then the wheel would be able to turn. So this would be a working little demonstration. Obviously, this is still upside down, and I do need to turn it around, obviously, so you can get the whole idea in the end. But that is the idea. Another thing that I've thought of is in the corners where I'm going to attach these all to each other, because let me see if I can pick this up like this. Well, slightly. Like you can see like that, there's gaps in between the wood and so on. So in the corner, to attach them, I've thought of also drilling an 8mm hole right through everything and putting in the threaded rod, not the threaded rod, the dowel stick all the way in there, cut it to size, and obviously insert it with wood glue, and then let the wood glue as well, or we'll let the glue dry as well, which would look a lot nicer in there. So there would be no physical screws or anything anywhere in this thing. It would all be basically glue and dowel sticks holding everything together, and obviously the pieces of wood. So then this basically is the finished product. You can see that the wheel does turn, like the wheelbarrow imitation that we've got here. I did color the wheel surface black with a permanent marker. You can paint it if you wish as well. I also cut off the dowel sticks that stuck out the bottom or the top part there, and all the ones at the bottom as well, just to make it flush, and then slightly sanded it. I did stick some foot pieces on here with the leftover pieces of wood just to even out the height that the wheel gives in the front, so it stands nice and level. Now, what you can also do is, whether you're doing the wheelbarrow or the normal square bowl with the overlapping corners or not, is you can obviously put things in your nice presentation, or you can give this as a gift to someone. The pieces of wood at the bottom are fairly close to each other, so nothing can really fall through. The gaps on the sides are not that big either, so things won't easily fall through at all. So what you can also do is, if you want to, you can take a piece of cloth, maybe this is a piece of microfiber cloth or microfiber cloth in general. You can put it on the inside like so, and you can put whatever you're storing inside like so, and it won't fall out, and it will maybe be kept a bit cleaner. The same principle goes if you want to give this as a gift to someone. You can put the gift inside, wrap the whole thing, whether it's a wheelbarrow or just a square bowl, and it makes a nice gift with whatever you've put inside, and obviously this thing as a whole. So if you do like this type of project, be sure to like my video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet. So until next time, thank you very much, guys.